This is Straight Talk with it. I love you, Greg Fan, the Preacher Man, and his sidekick Shannon Jones. Frank discussions of issues affecting the ATL, Fulton County, the state of Georgia, the nation, and around the world. And now, here they are, live and in living color, the team of Jones and Fan, the Preacher Man.
Well, welcome tonight to Straight Talk with yours truly, Greg Fan, the Preacher Man, along with Shannon E. Jones, Miss. We're talking about the SAVE Act that's being voted on in the Senate now and has already passed the Congress. That will call for you to have your birth certificate, will call for you to have all kinds of ID in order to be able to vote. And they want to make voting and this standard a national standard as for everyone. So you want to listen tonight, you want to follow along tonight, right here on Straight Talk with yours truly, Greg Fan, the Preacher Man, and Shannon E. Jones, Ron Allen, and Miss C. I'm talking about Miss C. Miss C finna come up. Hey, Miss C.
Hi. Miss C here with your 3-minute news blast, or more or less. Let me tell you, I have had a hard time trying to get to you today, so let me be quick before anything else happens, before the computer goes down, before the phone stops working, before the lights come on for no reason at all. Okay, listen, it's time for spring revival at Woods Memorial Baptist Church. They're at 5665 Old National Highway in College Park. Join Woods Memorial on March 24th through the 26th at 6 p.m. to be inspired by the ministry of Pastor Jarius Dorsey and New Zion Baptist Church on Tuesday, Pastor William L. Strickland and Zion Hill Baptist on Wednesday, and Pastor Lazare Reese and New Calvary Baptist on Thursday. The host pastor is Timothy H. Bullock. Traditional gospel and preaching and singing at its best. They're going to be celebrating the gospel talents of Deborah Snipes, featuring Reverend Edward Jackson and the True Tones of Alabama. That's Easter Sunday at The Good Church, 2100 Abner Place in Northwest Atlanta. For more information, you can contact Reverend Jarius Dorsey at 678-754-5667. Food will be served. Okay, the 7 last words of Jesus Christ on the cross will be held on Good Friday, April 3rd at noon at St. Philip AME Church. That's at 240 Candler Road in Southeast Atlanta. Guest presenters include Dr. Cynthia Hale, Dr. Rodriguez Johnson Jr., Dr. William Flippin Sr., Dr. Charles Goodman Jr., Dr. Kerwin Lee, Dr. Winford Rice Jr., and Dr. Antoinette Alvarado. You can log on to stphilip.org for more details. Join Grove Baptist Church at 5064 Highway 1 in Louisville, Georgia, as they celebrate the 4th anniversary of their pastor, Anthony Pierce, and First Lady, Tarika Pierce, on Sunday, March 22nd, 2:30 p.m., with Dr. Clarence Moore of the Good Shepherd Baptist Church in Augusta as guest speaker. Now, there are 4 things I'd like for you to do before we leave, okay? I'd like for you to subscribe. I'd like for you to like us. I'd like for you to leave comments and share us. Don't keep Straight Talk News to yourself. Let everybody know what you know. We are Straight Talk News. And if you'd like for us to announce your event, just email it to us at straighttalknews1362@gmail.com. That's straighttalknews1362@gmail.com. And listen, in the meantime and in between time, may the Lord God bless you real good. Bye now.
Well, welcome tonight to Straight Talk with yours truly, Greg Fan, the Preacher Man. Hey, listen, tonight I have Bo Barber with us again tonight with Ron Allen and myself. And, of course, Miss C is going to join us. And, Bo, we're glad you could join us tonight on this late notice. We're glad that you could join. But I thought that it would be good to have you to be a guest tonight as we're going to be talking about the SAVE Act. as you were down in Winder, Georgia a few weeks ago, and when they had the state board of election looking at elections, the 2020 election, and you spoke very eloquent about what was going on across Georgia that go the rest of the country, right? And of course, looking at this SAVE Act as they're trying to pass, which to federalize elections, right? So heard Stacey Abrams talking about it. She is really in tune to it, very talking points about how that SAVE Act is going to, hurt people who do not have the kind of IDs that they're saying that they need to have. So let's just jump into it, guys. And of course, I'm going to open up with you, Bo, and then Ron. I know you got a lot to say about it yourself. So,
I do.
Bo.
So first of all, Greg, thank you so much for having me on. I'm grateful and I'm thankful. I'm glad to be on with my colleagues out there. Ron is there, and I just want to say this. This is timely. It's ironic that we're talking about this topic tonight. I was with a member of the U.S. Senate today, and in person talking with a couple of groups, several items as if it's something that's good for us. And that's not by accident, but the SAVE Act is so layered until we don't fully understand how bad it's going to be. But I can tell you off the cuff, if people have to present their birth certificate in any part of the process, I don't care whether it's going to register, I don't care if it's verifying citizenship, in the voting process, any extra item that is not in the law that we are used to having in place for voting in this country is detrimental. Okay? It's designed to slow up the process. It's designed to intimidate folks. In this case, in particular, for women who are married, and it's going to be a major problem. And here's the thing. I wish America would understand this. What's bad for black folks is bad for America. Okay? I wish we would just understand that. Anything that is detrimental for black people, it's going to be detrimental for the rest of America. Because women who have to show a birth certificate in the voting process, guess what? You were not married when you were born. Therefore, your name is going to be different on your birth certificate than it is on your quote-unquote legal ID. That's going to cause major problems. We need to understand that this administration is not interested in making the voting process fairer or more accessible or anything of the sort. It is there to be disruptive. And I will go a step further than the major news networks and say they don't care what kind of disruption it is. It can disenfranchise even members of their own voting bloc as long as it casts doubt on the process and gums it up. And then the next conversation is the federal government needs to take over all voting practices in all states. And then and it's over. I mean, it is absolutely over. So in a nutshell, that's my main space in talking about this.
Okay. All right, Ron, your opinion?
Matthew 11 and 12 tells us that the kingdom of heaven is 5 hours, and the 5 hours taken by force.
Mm-hmm.
We have got to get people on the outside who take the political power by force.
Donald Trump has already pledged not to sign
any other legislation until they say America acts into law. And let's call the same America what it truly is. This is a new millennium literacy test. This is a new millennium poll test. The whole purpose of this legislation is to add another administrative barrier to the voting process. If you have to show your birth certificate or passport to register to vote, in every state that's going to eliminate somewhere between 6 to 8% of the vote. And Donald Trump and Republicans all know that a vast majority of those votes will be Democratic. This is a effort to minimize the number of eligible voters to maximize the chances of Republicans in power. Now, I know America, we are still white men being empowered
And when white men show their authority to take power by force, we acquiesce, we give up, we capitulate. So now it's a time to show that America is different, that we will stand up to this nonsense, that we will absolutely uphold the sanctity of the right to vote by defeating this legislation. So we need to be very active in calling our representatives. We need to see that, and our representatives need to see that we see this maneuver exactly for what it is, a voter suppression tactic. When we look at the number of voters who are going to be affected by this new administrative process, we're understanding that 2 out of 3 of these voters are Democratic voters. And so this is an important rallying cry for us to stand up and say, as Americans, that we are tired of going through this same battle over voting rights. But yet again, we have been maneuvered in a position to have to respond to what Republicans are doing. And this is a great dissatisfaction that a lot of people have with the Democratic Party, is that apparently there is no agenda on the Democratic side, that Democratic senators and House of Representatives members can only respond to what Republicans do. So yes, we do need to defeat the Save America Act, because this is voter suppression in disguise. But again, when are we going to have a proactive agenda as faith believers, as everyday Americans, that we get our voting rights solidified, that we get our economic rights solidified, that we get our social rights solidified, so we can avoid this dance every 4 years when we get a new party in the White House. So my message is to the Democratic Party: what is the agenda that will finally give us a baseline of protection to vote, of protection to work, of protection to own a home and live in our society, where we can avoid being prosecuted
Excuse me.
by the government, law enforcement, and other government agencies, Bishop? So that's what we're looking for from our political party.
Well, let me just say, when we talk about our political party, I mean, I think the one is that we're supposed to be a republic of the people, government, other people, by the people, for the people. And the voting process, as we know, the voting process is that people present themselves for office. And what we do is we turn around and we said, okay, we will cast our vote for you to serve us, whether it is whatever party it is. That's what we do. But I think the accountability is on American people, because one of the persons that's really doing all the damage is the person who said that he would do no damage, that he wouldn't do anything but help. Gas price $5. Food prices going out. He said he was going to lower all these things. He was never going to go to war. He would never be creating a third world war. He said that he would never be doing these things. He said Biden would do it, but he wouldn't do it. He talked about all the things that he wouldn't do. See, I think what it is propaganda, y'all. Let's be clear about it. It's propaganda. It's who can spread their best message and create propaganda in terms of people buying into that propaganda, right? And American people have brought into propaganda. If voting wasn't so important, the late Rum Love said, why do every time you turn around, they're trying to always to oppress the vote, even if they have to hurt themselves in the process. In the process, that's what they do, because it's just that important. The gentleman, Senator Congressman Murray, questioned the gentleman, Senator Murray, who questioned the gentleman who was up to be working under Marco Rubio as the secretary. of state in a position, he said that he said out of his mouth that he was not. It was about protecting white people, basically what he was saying, because he was saying that. And he Murray asked him, "Well, what do you mean about white people? What do you consider as white people? Why would what?" He could not explain that. He could not explain that. He could not explain. So they told him that even one of the Republican senators, I can't, vote to endorse him because he didn't even really know how to explain what he's trying to do or what they're trying to do in terms of protecting the white vote, right? So all of this is really protecting a class of people. Just it's oppression again, as it was back in the 30s and the 40s. It's that same kind of mentality. That mentality hasn't changed. And so when we talk about the SAVE Act and we look at the SAVE Act, and to your point, Bo, who is it saving?
Right, it's not saving anyone.
The whole thing is we're going to save your money. We're going to help you with health care. We're going to help you with education. We're going to help you with all these promises of what we're going to help. And all we see is hurt, 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 and more hurt, right? So myself personally, I think a part of it is we need to hold people accountable. And we need to come up with a way of how we hold people accountable. I'm not talking about marching. I'm talking about demonstrating. I'm not talking about doing those things, because those things, are archaic in my mind. They're archaic in my mind,
right?
Because they already know you're gonna go out there, you'll raise a little sand for a little while, then you're gone back. You done brought your signs and your bullhorns. We don't see you no more. All that kind of stuff. And now they got to the point is, well, I tell you what, we're gonna shoot them down with rubber bullets. Remember when they came here, when they were doing the Black Lives Matter, what they were doing was shooting them with rubber bullets, right? To deter them, to put that fear factor in them. So we got to come up with another way, another method in terms of how we're gonna hold people accountable. For real. And I think one of the things, just myself personally, I think that we as black people, we have to stop depending on companies like Coca-Cola and Alex and that group and all those people, the big money people, putting money in campaigns to elect people who we want to be in office. And then, because once they get in office, they're controlled by the people who gave them the money to get there. They just use our vote to get there. And once they get there, their voice is the voice of the people who giving them the money. And I'll give you, for instance, Tim Scott. Tim Scott, 1 minute when it came out, the negative about black people that Trump said, he found out he was black then, but now he back to being who he was before he found out he was black.
Absolutely.
Because tied to the what? The money. Clarence Thomas.
So true.
Clarence Thomas. Let's be real. Clarence Thomas, all of them. So let's talk facts, brother, in terms of the SAVE Act. And I want to thank Stacey Abrams. A lot of people don't appreciate Stacey, but she's on a mission to protect the rights of people to be able to vote. And boy, I may not have your audio because the phone went off. So I'm going to ask you to say something. You may have to go out and come back in, okay? But I'm going to ask you to make a comment now, so I don't know if you're still on.
I'm talking, but I don't think you
have to go out and come back on because I don't have your audio. Say no, stay there. I can't hear you though.
Can you call me?
I see your needle moving, but I don't hear you.
Call me. Call me on the phone. Call me.
Go out and come back in, Bo.
If I can, okay. Bishop, can I come in?
Yeah, you can. I'm trying to get.
So yeah, I want to share this for our listening public. Since Trump has been reelected, there has been 26 congressional flips, and all of those flips have been from Republican candidates who have flipped toward Democratic candidates. Even here in Rome, Georgia, we got Sean Harris now in a runoff for the seat vacated by Marjorie Taylor Greene. We see places where Democrats have fared poorly in the presidential election and headed toward the midterms. These races are a dead heat. and leaning toward Democratic representatives. Now, the issue with this, though, is that is America voting for Democrats out of dissatisfaction with the errors, the ignorance, and the wastefulness of the Republican Party? Or are they voting Democratic because Democrats have a proactive agenda about how to get us out of Iran, about how to pass a health care bill of rights, a worker bill of rights? We need the Democrats to
Greg, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you now. Go on. Go
Okay,
on.
well, I'm coming back in.
All right, go on, Ron. Keep on saying, Ron.
Yeah, we want the Democratic Party to take this momentum of the objection
right.
that everyday
Can you
Americans
see me
are
or
having.
hear me?
Yes.
We hear you both.
Yeah, we hear you. Go on.
So we need an agenda to get
Well, I'm
out
trying
of
to
this
get back
war
in on the
with
camera.
Iran.
You're on, boy. We see you and hear you. Excuse me, Ron. We see you and we hear you, boy.
Oh, okay. Well, I can't see anything on my screen, but that's okay. I don't need to see anything.
Okay. Go on, Ron.
So while the Republicans continue to obliterate and abandon the entire platform that they ran on, Trump ran on getting us out of endless wars in the Middle East. Trump ran on ending the desire for regime change in other countries. Trump ran on ending the Russia-Ukrainian conflict on day one. He ran on ending the Israel and Palestinian conflict on day one. And he has failed on all of those objectives. And so if the only Democratic agenda is to wait on Republicans to fall flat on their face, that will only be a temporary gain. Because if Democrats do secure Congress, the House, and the Senate in this midterm election this fall, what is the agenda? How are we going to get out of Iran? How are we going to get gas prices back down? How are we going to be able to get confidence back that America has reclaimed its place as a world leader? Trump is a pirate. He is only interested in magnifying his own interests. He has done that through his office of the President of the United States. He has increased his own personal wealth by 225% since he's been in office. Let me ask everyday Georgians and
Just let me know when you want me to chime in, Greg.
Has your wealth increased by 200% since Trump been in office? Because his wealth has. And so now we need an agenda that will get this country back on track. And let's stop celebrating Republican failure. And let's create an agenda that will get America back to having a vision on how workers can earn a living to support their families, how we can make healthcare affordable, how we can give students curriculum that give them positive identities and the life skills to take over for the next generation. So the opportunity is here for Democrats to take power, but you have to have a proactive agenda as opposed to just reacting to Republican failure.
All right. So, Bo, did you hear that, Bo?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay. Did you hear what Ron was saying?
I could not hear him, but what I will say is that knowledge is power, and the fact that Stacey Abrams, to your point, is bringing forward truth and information. If we want to quote scripture, I will say this, that we perish because of our lack of knowledge, correct?
Absolutely.
And because of that lack of knowledge, that does not, it spills over into every aspect of our life. He who controls information controls the world. The administration that we're dealing with right now fills the airwaves with propaganda, with, let's just face it, outright lies. There's just no truth in it. The Trojan horse of I can fix everything should be our first clue. Now, the SAVE Act is designed to be disruptive to the voting process. There is an ideology that's underneath all of this. Democracy was fine for as long as it didn't balance the scales too much. And now that democracy is actually working the way, by definition, it should work, and too many folks are finding equity and equality, now there are some power brokers that want to change the promise. They want to change the contract. So here we are with the SAVE Act. What is the most powerful tool that we have? It is our vote. As you said, Reverend Abernathy would say, if it wasn't valuable, then folks wouldn't want to take it away, to your point. So I want everybody to understand the protest, the noise making, all of that is futile at this point. We need to take our minds off of that and make sure that we turn out in numbers that we have never seen before in the voting process. For the primaries, use the primaries as the practice, so that come November, we overwhelm the system with our vote. That's going to be the only way we can overcome it. If the legislation passes, and like I said, we were talking to a senator today that was who was in Georgia, and we asked the question, how likely is it that this legislation is going to pass? And he said, there's a good chance that it won't pass. But I can tell you right now, the administration is going to push as many buttons as they can to get it passed. So just in case the legislation goes through, Black folks need to get their stuff together. Don't stop whining about how unfair it is. Stop worrying about whether or not we can find that birth certificate. Do whatever we need to do to have everything we need to vote. That's what our grandparents did. That's what our great-grandparents did. They went ahead. They knew they were going to have to count the jelly beans in the jar. They knew they were going to have to count the soap bubbles on the bar of soap. It didn't matter to them. So let's forget about the unfairness of the process and just do what we need to do in order to get the number of folks necessary to flip the House in Congress, and then go after the Senate. That is our only pathway to victory. Stop worrying about all the what ifs and we could. No, forget that. Just make sure that we turn out at the ballot box and vote. And then after we vote, go get somebody else to vote. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. It does. And what Ron has said and as prophet and is that the Democratic Party has to come up with an agenda. And they don't have an agenda. They just don't have an agenda. They're on a mode to attack what the Republicans are doing, but they don't offer an optional plan, and they haven't presented anything that would because let's go back to that.
Stay right there, Bishop.
Okay.
Stay right there for
yeah, I will.
Stay right there for a second.
Okay.
Now listen. Why should we worry about whether or not somebody has a plan? That's as Black people, we have always had to work around systems that were not working for us in order to get what we need. The one thing that's different from then and now is this. Black folk had an agenda of their own. We must have an agenda of our own. What is our agenda? Our agenda is to flip the House of Representatives. Regardless of whose messaging sounds better than the other, we know that what's in place right now is not working for us. Let it be simple enough to say, I just want to change what's already there and get that out of there. But I stand a better chance of survival if I've got somebody else steering the ship.
Let me just stop you right there, because this is what I'm gonna say is we've done that how many times? How many times have we done that and it hasn't worked? How many times have we put people in the office, Bo, and it hasn't worked? We put in people who are skin folk, who ain't our kin folks, and often looking for them to do it, and it hasn't worked, Bo. I mean, so
that's what I'm saying.
But let me just finish my point. Let's finish my point. Then you finish yours. But see, I think when we say a plan, we have to have an idea. If we flip the House, if the Democrats flip the House, what is the next step? What is the next step other than just flipping the House? All right, because we have gotten people who have been a part of us, and we put them there, and they didn't stick to whatever it was that should be the agenda to make sure that we are benefactors of what we're looking for. The only thing we're asking for decent schools. We're asking for decent wages. We're asking for decent health care. You know, these are things that we're asking for. You know that American dream. I mean, we're asking for those things what we were promised. And you got people who are in school in debt and have gone on the college. I mean, I'm just saying this. What is once we flip the House? If the House is flipped, what is the next step? What is the next step that's being offered other than I'm a Democrat? The Democrats have taken the House. The Democrats have taken the State House. The Democrats have taken this and the Democrats have taken that. That was Democrats in power years ago, and Democrats didn't deliver. For us.
But let me say it a different way.
Okay.
Let me say it a different way. And I'll use this analogy. So in 2024, Donald Trump was reelected. Why? Because he promised that we wasn't going to have any more wars. He promised that our cost of living was going to be lower, prices were going to go down, we were going to have health care. He was going to fix everything. And America got caught on the okie doke, okay? They took a chance on somebody that, in my opinion, shouldn't have been in the running because we saw what happened the last time. But no, they turned around and they did the same thing again. And now where are we? We're in the middle of a war. Our health care has been stolen. Food prices are up. Inflation is going to be through the roof next time the report comes out. I guess I'm using that example because there is no guarantee, Republican or Democrat, that anybody is going to do what they say they're going to do. We just have to take the chance. We know what we have right now. We know what we have with the Republicans right now. It's not working for us. It's not going to work for us. The only pathway we have is to take a chance on the party that seems to be saying the right thing. There is no we have no way of guaranteeing that they're going to do what they say they're going to. But what we do know is what we have right now is not working. So my point is, if it's good for the goose, it's good for the gander. Let's get those folks out of there. If the folks that we put in don't work, get them out. Now, that process may have to play out several times before we actually get some good folks that are going to do what they're supposed to do. But we have to do something right now, because if we don't, we are two or three legislative bills and laws away from the plantation. And I, for one, don't want to go back.
Oh, so I do agree with Pastor Bo. There does seem to be a movement getting us closer back to the plantation. In these elections, it seems as if the opposing party is turning back the clock. But, black men have been voting since 1870, black women since 1920. So we're beyond looking at one election. We've been voting in elections now for the past 90 years, for our women over 100 years for our men. So we're looking to be stacking victories in these elections, just like our political opponents. Trump got his Muslim ban through in 2017. He got his tax cuts through in 2017. Bush got the Patriot Act through in 2003. So whereas the other side is stacking their political victories, what did Brian Kemp get through in 2020 here in Georgia with the voter suppression bill after Biden took the election? So we can see the other side stack their victories
through elections. And so when we try to minimize what we can gain from an election, particularly when we are voting at a higher rate for our political party than every other racial group is voting for their political party, and we're getting less and less, and we keep hearing from our leadership, both in our political venues and in our spiritual venues, that we need to take less just to be able to avoid the greater evil. We got to stop with that. And we got to understand that we are full citizens right now. And our agenda of wage increases, poverty reduction, mass incarceration reform, student loan forgiveness, these are legitimate agenda items that will put money in every American's pocket, that will make life more affordable for every American as it benefits Black people specifically. So when we talk about the Black agenda, we are doing something different than isolating ourselves as one segment of the country. We're actually raising the tides of all boats by paying attention to the agenda items in our community. And that's why we need to have a strong agenda and force the Democratic Party to respect our agenda in these elections, because we're showing up to the polls, we're doing our job, and it's time for us to stop taking less and to start taking more, as we see other racial groups do in these elections time and time again.
I would challenge that, my brother.
Let's well, hold for a minute. Point, counterpoint. I tell you, this is interesting here. Let me just say, and I'm gonna step in. I want to step in because one is that we have to understand that nothing wrong with building today. We know that, but we have gone through one election after another 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 election. I started voting when I was 18 years old. And of course, you know, we were on fire to vote Democrat, because the Democrats seemingly were doing stuff for us, because during that time, you know, in 1965, we get the Voting Rights Act, you know, that would give us the right to at least vote. Selma happened. Those things happened during my youth. And of course, when we look at that in the Voters' Rights Act that's up in 2031, will it be repealed? Will it be upheld? I mean, so there are some layers of things that we got to really discuss in here that a lot of people aren't even aware of. So if John Lewis tried to get it extended or during his lifetime, but they wouldn't vote with him to try to get us the right to vote, but keep it as an act. So, I mean, these are things that we know, and we know they've been gutting the voter right bills all these years, state by state by state, through Alex and certain other groups who have gave legislations to Republicans to do it. But I'm going back to my premise I said earlier. It is that issue of who's funding these candidates. Who's funding these candidates? The problem is money talk. Money talk. So when we talk about what we want them to do and we want to get them to do and that kind of stuff, it is, and having been an elected official myself, understand my agenda when I ran on two things. I was going to support labor issues because I was out of labor. I was going to support labor issues. Labor gave me my money to run, and the faith community, because the faith community and the labor community was the community that gave me my money to run for city council. So I was loyal to those two groups. And then there was some other individual who gave me a few dollars to be able to run, like family members and those kinds of people to run. And I stayed true to my conviction to those who supported me, who I believed in the first place. Right. So, I mean, but most people going in, they will take money from labor and then turn their back on labor. They'll take money from the faith community and they'll turn their back on the faith community. And they look like us. Now, I'm just talking about showing up talk now, both you and Ron. So I'm just saying that we have to understand is that it's in the heart of people to do what's right. That when you go in to do what's right. And if you cannot, LaDon Beckett Jones, when LaDon ran for State House to replace Joe Hextall, when Joe Hextall stepped down, she ran. And LaDon saw that she could not affect changes in the Demon Dome. LaDon did not run again. She said, I can't do this because the work that I committed myself to do for the people, they're not going to work with me. People who look like me are not going to work with me. People who are part of our party are not going to work for an agenda. I've been down to that Demon Dome all these many years, and we got the largest black caucus it is, allegedly, and we can't get nothing done down under that Demon Dome. We can't even get contracts. We can't even get 5% or 10% of contract when we put more money, as much money in state taxes than anybody else. And we put in, but we can't get anything out of. See, that's what I'm saying is that I hear what you're saying, and I'm not disagreeing that we need to flip. I'm not disagreeing that we need to come up with a plan of accountability. We have to hold people accountable. That's what I'm saying. I don't care if they're State House. I don't care who they are. We got to stop electing people because their mama, I knew their mama, I knew their dad, I knew this, I knew that. But what do you know about them? What are they doing? We have to stop that.
I don't disagree with that at all.
Okay.
I don't disagree with any of that.
Sure.
Everything you just said, I agree with. I really do. But here's the unfortunate truth, that we can't look in a candidate's face and be able to tell by looking at them what they're going to do once they get in office. And it's always a roll of the dice. As much as I don't like that process, as much as I don't like that system, that's kind of the way it is. So we have to make it easier for everyday people to get into the process of running for office. Because until we get people in office that act like us, live like us, work like us, we're going to get more of what we already had. But I do know one thing. If we don't change what we already have with the party that is in control, we're not going to gain any ground. We're going to continue to lose ground. So at the very least, in order to keep from losing more ground, we got to stop the bleeding.
And that's a rolling of the dice there too, because we don't know if we put people in office if they're going to still work to stop the bleeding.
That's right.
So we just have to what we have to do as men of God and men of faith is to pray and believe God that the Holy Spirit, as Reverend Love used to say, is that we do the work and let the Holy Spirit do the rest. And that's all we can do, because God is totally in control. But brother, we can talk about this all night long, but we almost in an hour conversation here. But I want to tell you right now, for those of you who are listening and viewing tonight, boy, I'm telling you, you're getting a mouthful tonight, because this ain't been nothing tonight shown up but straight talk. It's too much going on for us not to be talking straight talk. I mean, that's just real talk. And sometimes people have to come on the scene for us to get real with ourselves and understand that we as black people, they took our history, but we allowed them to take our heritage. Our heritage is to love you one another as I have loved you. And that's what we had. We looked out for one another. We loved on one another. And that's what Jesus taught us. And to look out for the least, the less, the lost, and the left out. And that's what we're going to do till our dying days, because I'm not looking to go to hell. Well, God bless you all, and we pray that this program has been a blessing to you tonight. And this ain't been nothing but what? Straight talk. Even if Bo had to leave the scene, he had to go black. I had to figure out how to get him off the place. But anyway, thank you, Mr. Producer. I know I'm gonna hear the criticism coming from you. Have a good night, y'all, and God bless and stay strong. Well, welcome tonight to Straight Talk with your truly Craig Fan, the preacher man. Hey, listen
on Straight Talk. Email Craig Fan at FANN922@Comcast.net or call 404-308-0795. Join us again for another episode of Straight Talk with Shannon Jones and Greg Pan, the Preacher Man.